David, welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only Natasha Leggero.
Hi, how's it going?
What is going on? I mean, stars on Mars, fresh off your elimination. How are you?
I'm good. Yes, I know it's so interesting to see to watch the show now because we had these like microphones around our neck for several weeks. So, I mean, we said so much stuff. I really had no idea what was going to be in the show.
You're like, well, I don't even know if we can call it an elimination. I mean, you said, like, please, please, please let me leave already. Let me call an Uber. You really had enough.
It was really challenging. I mean, the people were awesome and we all had so much fun together. It's just the actual physical requirements of having the equipment on your back and then having to like run with it and also do scary, physical things I had never done before. Like I told Lance Armstrong, I was like, I think that was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And he was like, that's really sad.
Was it harder than stand-up comedy? Because I think stand-up comedy has got to be right up there as one of the most difficult things to possibly do.
Well, yes, but don't forget, people who do stand-up comedy, there's like something wrong with them. They have a deficiency, so they actually need to do things like that, as opposed to physical feats, which I'm just not really interested in or built for.
I get it. Was there a highlight for you of this whole experience?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, was there a highlight for you of this whole experience of Stars on Mars?
I'm sorry, one more time.
It's okay. Was there a highlight for you of this whole experience of being in Stars on Mars?
I would say the highlight was really just post-pandemic getting into like having to live in this really, it was a simulated Mars environment, but also it was like, you're like bunking with six other women or five other women. So and then the men were like right there without a door. Like I just hadn't really been in that type of situation ever, I think. So for the pandemic, like, for me to just have been in this place where I'm staying home a lot, socially, I felt like, in addition to the Mars experiment of it all, it was like a social experiment. And I think it was, really good for me to just get out of my habits. And so for me, the whole experience was really a highlight.
Does this make you want to do more reality TV like the Big Brother house, Celebrity Big Brother, Celebrity Survivor? Did this kind of motivate you to go back into a situation like this?
Absolutely not.
You had enough. What about, Tom Schwartz said in the news, that he was, going through this Scandoval and he couldn't wait to get into this situation just to like leave the phone behind and like leave the world behind. Like, how did you feel about that? Like, did you like leaving your phone behind and kind of being cut off from your husband and family?
I mean, ideally, it all sounds great. We did have phone access. I had better internet than I have at the hotel I'm staying at right now. So, that, but we could only do it in our beds. So I'm sure Tom did his share of looking at comments from his bed. But yeah, it was great to get away from my family. I loved it.
Well, you starred in Another Period, which is kind of a nod and a spoof to reality TV. Speaking of Tom Schwartz, Scandoval, like, are you a reality TV fan?
I'm not, and I did have people update me on who Tom was and that he was the good Tom. Um, but yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm I'm not a reality TV person, sorry.
At least you knew you were getting the good Tom, right?
Exactly.
Well, Stars on Mars is such a guilty pleasure for so many people so far this season. Like, what are your guilty pleasures? Like, is there something you're binging now? Like, do you have any TV that you love, or what are your guilty pleasures?
I mean, to be really honest, I usually don't watch myself. And I guess my guilty pleasure has been watching this, watching Stars on Mars, because I am just like, first of all, it's definitely like must watch television, like everyone's personalities, and it's so funny. I was watching it with my 5-year-old and she like wanted to keep watching it. And I'm like, well, I'm not in it anymore. And she's like, no, I want to keep watching it. So I guess Stars on Mars is kind of a guilty pleasure right now.
She's like, wait, you're like, wait, mommy has gone home. I'm back. And she's like, let's just keep watching the whole season.
Exactly.
I understand. I don't like listening to myself on this podcast. So I totally, and as an actress, and you just don't like watching stuff that you're in usually.
Yeah, like I just don't bother.
Are you the type, you've been in LA for a while, speaking of stars from Stars on Mars, you've been in the business for a while. Do you get starstruck? Like, have you ever met someone where you get starstruck? Do you get starstruck, or is it all just about the work at this point?
Um, always it just depends on who the person is, but you know, I think that for the show, I think we all kind of had a common enemy, which was them feeding us horrible food and not giving us any fresh air. So I think we were able to, um, see past who everybody was, and we were all kind of just in it together.
And doing difficult tasks. My first exposure to you, was as a regular permanent fixture on Chelsea Lately. What was it like working on Chelsea Lately?
Oh yes. Oh, hold on, my earbuds just.
No problem. You sound good on this end.
Oh, okay, good. What was the Chelsea Lately question?
Well, that was my first exposure to you, was working as a regular fixture on Chelsea Lately for all those years. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Oh, I mean, it was so awesome working with Chelsea, and I really do miss that experience of, you know, um, working with all those comedians, and we all kind of knew each other, and everyone was friends, and then we'd see each other in the clubs, and like I said, the pandemic kind of like shifted everything. So, those were great times, and I think, Chelsea continues to be super generous with her, you know, her success and what she's been able to create. And she really helped so many people sell out their shows and all around the country. I thought that was really cool of her.
What did you learn from Chelsea from working on that show?
um well, Chelsea is pretty tireless. Like, she just seems